Hey guys, welcome to my absolute favorite time of the year. This is Moto Stories with Unkie Phil, but it's the extra special spooktacular edition. Grab yourself a creepy cocktail, hang back, turn up the speakers, and listen to some very, very scary motorcycle stories. Guys, you know what it's like when you're hanging out with your friends and doing some cool motorcycle stuff. And then at night, things get weird. I mean, weird. And a story comes to mind many years ago. You know, we're at Mid-Ohio, and Mid-Ohio for us is a pilgrimage every year, but keep in mind, a big part of Mid-Ohio that people don't remember is vintage motorcycle racing. And that's these cool motorcycles that have been on the track. They've been racing for like 40 years. And so it's really fun to walk through the pits. And this one night, after, you know, a few cocktails, making my rounds at Mid-Ohio as I do, and wandering through the pits, and, you know, all kinds of people there, you know, friends from years ago, guys been racing, and just wander around appreciating people's machines, appreciating people's bikes, hang out, have a beer, share a chat. Meet this guy, and he's an older fella. I mean, he's well into his 70s, and but he's spry, and you can tell he's got a good story to tell. And he's got his leathers, and his leathers are like circa 1975. I mean, this guy is old school, and he's got this beautiful 1970s RD, beautiful RD 400, all set up for the track. Really, I mean, talk to the guy. He's just so much history, and he doesn't mind having a drink either, which is pretty cool. And so he's telling me all about, you know, all the different races he's had and all the tracks, Watkins Glen, everything else in the area that he's raced on that bike and had it for years. And all he's done to keep the bike alive over the years, racing on these tracks. Really neat. He knows everybody. It's fun to walk around with him because he's a celebrity. People know who he is. And as we go from group to group and tent to tent, it's getting into the wee hours in the morning, I just realized that Rudy's a celebrity. Everybody knows Rudy. And I'm just there, and I'm just a fly on the wall for this guy. And it was great to watch him hold court. It was great to see the love in everybody that knew him. And, oh, he had stories. The guy he could tell you everything about every turn. He could tell you what year they brought out what bike and what year they had what rule that screwed things up for everybody. And you know, some of the traumatic experiences that he'd had racing motorcycles over the years. And I mean, the guy was great. He's a true hero in my mind, and I was honored to spend some time with him. And the night crawled on as it does, and you know, you visit. Mid-Ohio is huge. We got to visit some friends that I knew where they were camped and got to hang out with them for a while, and got to visit some friends of his. Got to meet the old timers that he'd hung out with, and really had just a great night. And I mean, it was one of those things where the evening just evaporates away. Next thing you know, it's just, you're asleep and you just had a great experience, and it's really cool. And the next morning, I kind of went up, and, you know, John's got the coffee going, and everybody's got everything going on, and Kurt's brought the donuts over, as he's famous for doing. And we had the normal gaggle at our campsite and all the people rounding up, and you know, they wake up a little earlier than I do because I don't tend to go to bed until the sun comes up. And I hear them all chatting, so I go out, and they're like, where'd you go last night, man? You disappeared. You split on us or what? I was like, no, I was just walking around the pits, seeing the old vintage bikes as you do, and I met this really cool guy, man, and we bullshitted around, and we went and met all of his really cool old friends, and I got to learn a lot. And I honestly, it was more interesting hanging around with them than hanging around with you. I've done that before, and I was like, yeah, well, who is this guy? So, well, he's a racer, road racer. He's an armor racer. Everybody knows him. Guy's been racing here forever, and you know, black leathers, green stripe on the side. His name's Rudy. And I mean, 4 or 5 guys that were gathered up into our little group were just like, what know, you could have heard a pin drop. They didn't say anything. And the one guy, in the most hilarious move I'd ever seen, he pulled his hat off his head. And he kind of bowed his head and he goes, "Rudy, black leathers, green stripe." I said, "Yeah, Rudy, black leathers, green stripe." Wild, totally awesome guy. He goes, "Phil, Rudy died here 15 years ago on this track in turn 5, right in front of the camp where everybody could see it happen. Rudy's raced on this track since the 70s, but 15 years ago, he died right out there. Nobody's talked to Rudy for 15 years. Well, next time you're out at a racetrack, keep in mind, you may not be walking around alone." Well, guys, that was terrifying, and I know you're gonna be really excited to see what we bring you tomorrow. I can only tell you this, it's going to be haunting, frightening, and it might even be true, but you'll never know.